Greetings everybody, I am Batman, and finally things are back on track, so I'll leave commentary duties to you, Solidus-Skully, here to welcome everybody back to Batman Arkham Asylum. Yeah, we should have no more problems like corrupted footage or wobbly commentary where I have fuck all to say about anything really, because I'd say at this point I'd say after the segment actually, we're pretty much approaching the home stretch of the game really. So to kind of get on to brass tacks as to what we were doing last time, apart from beating up some thugs by punching them in the face and punching them in the dick, or breaking their arms, or just punching them some more. Ooh, Purple Slam! Yeah, we're pretty much going down to the sewers to find Killer Croc, because those are where we can find the spores that can counteract the Titan formula. And yeah, we have more cryptographic sequencer puzzles, but will, as I said before, blow up in your face if you don't do it in time. But you will have plenty of time to do it, so nothing to really worry about at this stage. And so much for Scarecrow closing the door and preventing Batman from reaching him. Yeah, what I kind of waffled on over beforehand is that he apparently plans to release a bunch of fear gas into the sewer area, which will give Gotham nightmares for years, or something. Yeah, not really too much to talk about, apart from people telling each other Killer Croc ghost stories, which, I mean, you know what, I'll save my Killer Croc tangents for when we finally enter his lair. Because, yeah, the whole precipice of Killer Croc is that rather than keeping him in a cell, as we saw in the hospital area, yeah, keeping him in a traditional, you know, barred prison isn't really gonna hold him, given his hulking frame, so... Yeah, they're pretty much taking to hiding Killer Croc in the sewers and giving him his own little playpen, really. And as you can see just over there, they pretty much feed Killer Croc all different sorts of meat products. Primarily just, you know, giant pig carcasses, tripe, and, apparently, according to one little line that I actually didn't notice until this playthrough, yeah, they apparently feed him crocodiles, so... Depending on what Killer Croc actually is, I mean, he's meant to be human with like an reverse atavism condition, which basically means that he's possessing animalistic traits. It is actually a condition that is something very present in the real world, not quite to the extent of Killer Croc, obviously, but yeah, it is actually like a very rare condition that you can see people with tails and stuff like that, so yeah, it's quite bizarre, but yeah, that was obviously the inspiration they used for the character, and yeah, basically is Killer Croc. And something that the Arkhamverse actually kind of covers from Arkham Origins through to Arkham Knight is that, yeah, basically Killer Croc kind of went through a bit of a forced evolution due to the harshness of his environment, so... Yeah, as the games go on, he does gradually become more and more crocodile, because, I mean, if you look back to Arkham Origins when you fight him for the... like, right at the beginning of the game, he's a lot more human-looking, but even in that case, he was still able to kick the ass of Batman in his prime, and Batman himself was just barely able to defeat him. And at this point in his life, well, let's just say that if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, Killer Croc was pumped full of tranquilizers and had that electro-shock collar on him, well, Batman would be bat-fucked. And there's the meat they feed the Killer Crocodile. So let's see what they feed him. Crocodile, tripe, some other shit that I can't really see. Yeah, they feed him crocodile. Well, that's quite disturbing, but then again, I doubt Killer Croc really minds so long as he gets food to eat. But anyway, now that we finally have access to the sewers, and that was also the door where Killer Croc pretty much punched his way out, yeah, we can finally get the plot moving. And yeah, it's also quick access to the Batcave, should we need it, which we will to synthesize a repellent to the Titan formula. Yes, it's all go around here, so let's continue on and deal with some lingering plot threads, as they are so called.
Too late, Batman! One step closer, and this goes into the water. The cave will fill with your deepest, darkest nightmares, and you will never reach your precious venom roots.
Don't do it, Crane!
Now, you might think that Scarecrow was dead at this point, but I mean, obviously, with the existence of Arkham Knight and in turn, even one of the endings of this game, yeah, Scarecrow is still very much alive. You might be wondering how, since wouldn't Croc have eaten him immediately, especially with Batman agitating, you know, Killer Croc's collar, but no. One of the habits of Crocodiles, actually, and one of the biggest reasons why Scarecrow wasn't dead, is that in terms of the Crocodiles' habits, in terms of, you know, how they eat, yeah, Crocodiles actually store their carcasses of food until they're ready for consumption, so, yeah. They don't instantly finish their meal, unless they're out for revenge because they're on a rampage. But no, on a serious note, crocodiles do actually store carcasses when they want them to eat for later, so, yeah, they're polite reptiles. I mean, again, for as much as people do shit on that, you know, terrible, fucking horror movie, I mean, it does make sense that crocodiles don't immediately eat their food because, I mean, unless they're out for the revenge, because they're not eating because they're hungry. But yeah, I mean, I guess there is also a lot of, like, a lot of muscle mass and weight that crocodiles also have to, you know, extend if they want to, you know, do their daily habits, take care of business, I suppose, so, yeah, I guess it does make sense that they'll pretty much, you know, take food back to their habitat and have a big meal, you know, when they're not out for revenge.
Oracle, I'm heading into Croc's lair to collect the plant spores Ivy spoke about. He's in some kind of old sewer network. Send me the schematics, it's like a maze down here.
There's nothing on record. Bruce, are you sure about this? Sounds like a suicide mission.
I've got no choice. I've tuned the scanner to detect the spores required to make the antivenom. It'll lead me straight to them.
What about Croc?
Croc's just an animal. And animals just need traps and the right bait. I'll be fine. I'll contact you when I'm done.
So, ladies and dudes, get comfortable, because now we enter Killer Croc's lair, which is pretty much his own little playground prison cell, and I take it what was initially meant to be basically a reskin for what Mad Hatter's little area was before he was cut from the game, but they did do a decent job of reusing it, but this also does have the opposite caveat of basically being very tedious and a bit banal. I mean, not entirely, because, I mean, you do have the threat of Killer Croc stalking you, and as you're about to well, okay, not at the moment, because they're currently building up tension in a very Jaws kind of way, as, you know, Killer Croc does his durnin'. And I'm just waiting for the moment where he'll show up, but he's not showing up at the moment, because they're building up tension. Where is he? We gotta find the spores in his lair. I'll pretty much talk about the rest of this by the time we actually see him, you know, do his little jig. Which I can tell because the audio spikes. But yeah, Killer Croc will pretty much jump out from the water below. You can't see where he is in detective mode, but yeah, that's pretty much the exciting point. So you can't completely rest on your laurels and just run across. You pretty much need to crawl your way across the path in order to avoid Killer Croc just suddenly going boo, throw a batarang at him and taking him down. So it kind of hits a bizarre note between it being exciting enough but also banal as you're tracking down these spores. And of course, not every plant spore will give you the full cure, so naturally you gotta collect several different spores that grow in the sewers because I have no fucking idea. Gotham plants are weird, possibly to do with Lazarus technology, since Gotham City is in fact built on the foundation of Wonder City, but that stuff I'll discuss when we finally get to Arkham City. But yeah, there is, again, apart from the fact that Killer Croc is pretty much drugged up on tranquilizers, sedatives, and, you know, the shock collar, otherwise Batman would be completely fucked with this Predator. There is actually a merit to this stealth section in terms of game design, which I can somewhat appreciate. And that's the whole thing about, you know, this being an inverse of the prey-predator dynamic. Again, beforehand, you know, Batman was pretty much the Predator. Goons didn't see him, they didn't know where he was, and you were pretty much the one picking them off and, you know, making them more scared with their presence. In this case, however, this is pretty much Batman being stalked by Killer Croc. You don't know where Killer Croc is until he strikes, and you have a very limited time to stop him before he catches you. And you are going to be seeing what happens if he does catch you, because if Killer Croc catches you, game over. But again, it is also a case of, again, if you can predict where Killer Croc is, you can pretty much take him down with no real problem. Except when you get into scenarios where you don't know where he's going to be coming from, which is a blessing and a curse because, on the one hand, you can't see where he pops up from the water, but at the same time, if you're at like a little crossroads section like this right here, and he pops up at a certain place, you don't really know where he is until it's potentially too late, so... I mean, there is tension that does run high depending on where you are in this little labyrinthian maze, but at the same time, though, it doesn't really provide you with a lot of interesting commentary, and nor does it really... Even during gameplay, like, I mean, again, that might give you a slight jolt in terms of jump scares or whatever, but... Yeah, that's really all there is to it, and you're pretty much just standing here, waiting, wondering where he is, but sometimes he'll fake you out like that, and that's, I mean, sometimes you can obviously see him and somewhat predict where he's going by breakable areas that you need in order to get from one place to another, but... Yeah, that's, really it, so... I'm pretty much just forced to talk about Killer Croc some more. I mean, other than that, or I guess I could just sort of ape the SGB likes to play, run through and read bad Batman fanfiction? But I'm not gonna do that, so I guess maybe giving Killer Croc a spotlight, I might as well talk about the different versions of the character. Yeah, Waylon Jones, aka the Killer Croc, he was, I think he was raised by his aunt, abused by her for his, you know, atavistic condition, and, yeah, basically he pretty much grew up to become cold, heartless, he wound up eating his abusive aunt, and, yeah, basically after that point became a mercenary for hire. And in terms of the Arkhamverse specifically, I'm sure this might also be a thing in some specific comic book story arcs, depending on the writer or whatever, but... Yeah, depending on his condition, it either gets worse and he becomes more crocodile than man, or eventually he just, well, loses his humanity completely. Which is, one of the tragic elements of the character, but at the same time, in all the variants of Killer Croc that I've seen, they don't really tend to play him up for sympathy all that much, which is, again, quite odd. I could see some variants of the character being so, but again, the main two Killer Croc versions I remember from any Batman media, you know, excluding the Arkhamverse, obviously, is that, yeah, there was one from, the animated series who was, you know, obviously a villain through and through, even when he had that brief, fling with the baby doll character, and, you know, joined up with that little freak show where he was still an asshole through and through, even despite being among his own fellow freaks, for the lack of a better phrase. And, then there was also the 2004 Batman cartoon, which I specifically remember for actually having a very similar premise to this, where Batman pretty much had to fight underwater with a much more mercenary version of Killer Croc, who was like a military militia kind of guy, who was a little bit more human than, you know, the bestial animal that we see here, but yeah. I did actually quite like that version of the character. He was very Cajun, and I don't know, his battles against Batman were quite tense. But then again, that was also one of the appeals of that show, was Batman early in his career trying to creep off the success of the Christopher Nolan movie that was in production at the time, and yeah. In fact, I think it's fair to say that that's probably my favourite. And again, I'm only really saying this probably because of nostalgia mostly, but yeah, the 2004 Batman series is pretty much my definitive Batman cartoon of my childhood, and I did actually start to rewatch it rather recently, and it's still quite good.
I will enjoy feasting on your bones.
Delicious. But yeah, the 2004 Batman cartoon. I haven't really seen past the first two seasons, because those were the only ones that aired during my childhood, but yeah, I am actually willing to give the show a complete watch at this stage. It's probably going to be quite fun.
I've got enough spores. I need to get back to the Batcave and formulate the antidote.
Oh, I get it. You've activated a sonar beacon down there. Clever.
Oracle, I'm getting out of here.
What about Croc?
He won't be a problem.
Oh, Batman, confident as ever, but the odds are of course stacked against you, so to kind of further talk about gameplay mechanics, as I've been waffling on about everything else really, yeah, don't run, otherwise Croc will instantly know where you are and pretty much just dive up and take a chunk out of the Batsuit. And yeah, you might be thinking that you could use the line launcher to pretty much skirt across areas, but yeah, only ever do that if there's a space between you and the platforms. Otherwise, well, Killer Croc will pretty much just jump out to surprise you, and, well, at that stage he'll pretty much instantly kill you. So, you've already seen what happens when he does catch you, so, yeah. Unless you want to be lunch for the crocodile who is he's on a rampage. Yeah, I suggest you pretty much just stick to creeping around like a little creeper. Except not the creeper, because that's Jack Ryder. Instead we're going to be the Batman, who's not the predator because, well, we are the hunted, not the hunter. Jesus Christ. That was a little bit too close to comfort. Oh, Jesus Christ, God, I don't remember having these many close fucking calls. I think I might have been a bit asleep at the wheel when I was recording this, holy shit. Oh god, I surprise even myself at these points. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you've also seen what happens. Don't stand on platforms when they're about to sink down, as I did, which netted me the game over. Otherwise, I would have done this in one fell swoop. But, I mean, it did allow me to slightly cut down on time, so... yeah. Shorter parts for the win. Saving my throat from being agonizingly in pain. Yeah, but yeah, thankfully you also have the musical cues that also do alert you to Killer Croc's presence, as well as, you know, the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun whenever he starts breaking the board. So again, you do have a lot of tells to tell you exactly where Killer Croc is in relation to you. So yeah, decently designed sequence, although, depending on your mileage, it might either run to be a little bit tedious, or, I don't know, some people might find it a bit boring. Until they get to this point where Killer Croc has found you. Run away, run away, run away, run away, we're gonna die by a giant crocodile who's on a rampage, because he's not eating because he's hungry. He's out for revenge. Because crocodiles usually finishes their meal. But thankfully we have a trap laid for Killer Croc, and let's just say we're gonna blast him all the way to Arkham City. Which ain't even been built yet, but he'll find it. And provided that I get around to Arkham City, I will show off that little cameo of Killer Croc, because he also appears in that game too. But yeah, there is also a special death animation if you fuck this little scene up, but yeah, don't worry. We'll get it, and you won't be seeing Batman become lunch for Waylon Jones, aka the Killer Croc.
I will find you!
Yeah, whatevers. See yous in Arkham City, bitches! And yeah, that's pretty much everything. We have the spores that we need to make the cure to Titan. And we'll pretty much never see Killer Croc again. Yeah. So now it's off to the Batcave, old chum. But first of all, we also have some Joker to destroy, some more goons to beat up. Treasured memories. So yeah, that's pretty much all for Killer Croc at this stage. I will be playing his interview tapes, if I can find them. I'm pretty sure they're around here somewhere. I might post them at the end of this part, or maybe at the beginning of the next one. Yeah, whatever. No idea why these goons are there. They're pretty much just here to prolong the boredom, and in terms of also prolonging the boredom, even though we do have the spores to put a stop to Joker's Titan plans, there is also another thing to consider, namely the waste chemicals. So, yes, a lot of things to consider in this case. Like ass punches and beating people in the face. There we go. Yeah, by the way, if you decide to use the counter when you've already got a 3x multiplier and a goon attacks you, yeah, you can also use that to take down enemies if you've got a high enough combo, so yeah, that's pretty decent. Riddler.
I take it you felt that. The plants are going crazy. I'm getting seismic spikes in all locations. It's not good.
It's okay. I've got the mold samples. I'm heading to the Batcave to mix up the antidote.
Good. I'd tell you to hurry, but I'm sure you know what you're doing. Contact me in the cave if you need anything.
So then, off to the Batcave, old chum. And that's pretty much all she wrote for this part. I'm kind of surprised I actually managed to commentate through the Killer Croc section without stumbling, so yeah, kind of proud of myself. But then again, I guess I needed a bit of a pick-me-up after the whole fucking Scarecrow Nightmare Sequence 3 debacle, but anyway, that's neither here nor there in this case. So on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on Batman Arkham Asylum, we synthesize a cure to Teen Titan formula. Catch you next time.